It has been a dark and stormy day, and it's supposed to be like this most of the week. So I decided the best thing for me to do would be dig through the art supplies and find something to keep myself occupied. So I decided to do a little paper marbling. And you can do this not only on paper, you can do it on fabric as well, which means you can do this to pillowcases, t shirts. Just run wild with it. There are some things that won't marble this way, and I'll be doing another video to follow this one, showing you a cheap and easy way to marble other things. So all I've got here is just a plain aluminum baking pan. I get them for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And inside of this is water mixed with this stuff called carrageenan. And carrageenan is a seaweed extract that they use in things like ice cream and jelly and things like that to thicken it up. And that's really what I've done here is I've mixed it with water to thicken the water a little bit so the paint will float on top of it with marble. The paint is just regular old cheap Walmart acrylic paint, but it's about half and half water, and you want to mix it up real good. The half and half with water is a starting point, and we'll talk about that in a second. Because really what you're wanting to do is have the water thick enough and the paint thin enough that the paint floats on the water. Now there are recipes that I've seen online where people have used cornstarch in here instead of carrageenan. I've tried it once. It worked okay. Man, I need to tinker with it a little more because cornstarch is a little easier to find than carrageenan, and carrageenan can be expensive, but I'll tell you about that at the end of the video where you can find it pretty cheap if you want to get into this because this is kind of fun. So we're going to start. Let's start with red. Let me get a paper towel real quick because I can figure out where I've put them. Well, I can't find my paper towels. We'll just work without one. These are just regular old like medicine droppers, and I got these online. This is a project I do at the kids area at the July Craft Fair here where I live. If we have the fair this year, this will be my 19th year doing the kids craft area. It's a long time. A long time. But I don't know what's going to happen yet. No, they've not made any decisions, so we'll see. But all we're doing is we're getting a little bit of paint. You know how to use a medicine dropper. Squeeze it. You're going to just make some drops. This is the way we're going to start the first time. Really what we're doing first is we're just kind of dirtying up the water and it's making sails. And I'm hoping it's picking up on camera. You can see the outline. That's created when the surface tension on the water gets messed with. There's some other colors in there around there as I was practicing earlier to make sure I had my paint and stuff mixed up because this will turn out pretty interesting. I'm going to use the blue, same thing, just get some drops. And for this method, I'm going to go in the middle of these cells that have formed. I'm hoping you can see them. Just give 1 drop, 2 drops. Just begin to see how it's spreading out. 1 more. And let's go with purple. And the same thing, you're just going to drop 1 or 2 in each cell. Now I know stuff's really starting to show up pretty good. Now normally when I do this with kids at the craft fair, I tell them to pick 3 colors. The only reason I do that is because I have learned you don't give younger kids too many choices because they cannot make up their mind and they take a long time and They end up using every color and everything turns brown and mixes up. Now, I was talking earlier about how you want the paint to float. I was having trouble with green earlier, which stinks. Green's my favorite color. I'm going to show you what it was doing. See how it's just plop? It's not really spreading out or doing anything. And I've added water to it twice, which is what you should do to try to thin it out, and it's not working. So I'm gonna try one more time to add some water to it and see if I can get it thin enough to play right. And if not, we're gonna have to do without the green. And these little containers I'm using, I have no idea where they came from. I'm wanting to think they had paint in them at one point. But I have tubs and tubs and tubs and tubs of craft supplies I've collected over the years from doing this. And I always try to reuse as much as I can. And a lot of that is lots of little containers. Let's see. Well, crud. Green is just not wanting to work tonight. I can't tell much difference in it. We're going to go without green. I may try something different a little bit with the green. But what you want to keep doing is with your 3, 4, whatever colors you've picked. Just keep going back in. Green's showing up a little bit. And do your drops. And just keep alternating colors. It doesn't matter if you keep a pattern going of the colors you're using or you mix them up. It doesn't matter. And I will tell you right now, the longer you sit and make these drops, the more you put on there, the better off it's going to be. I really, really kind of hope we have the craft fair this year. They've talked about, it's always in July, usually around like the second weekend in July or something. They've talked about maybe moving it to August, or it wouldn't be a very easy place to deal with social distancing and all that, because it is in the woods at the foot of a mountain at a place called Indian Fort Theater. And if you've ever heard of Brea or you've ever been here, surely you have heard of the Pinnacles. And the festival is out where you park to go hiking at the Pinnacles. Plus, I cannot imagine having to deal with kids' crafts and social distancing, because I'm sure that could turn into a mess from beyond. Really, I'd rather people be safe than anything else. July will come again, and we can have it next year. It's been fun working out there for almost 20 years, because it's almost like a summer camp kind of feeling. The artists who come, the vendors at the festival, they come from all over. Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Missouri, Ohio, Indiana. And you only see these people this one weekend a year. So when the festival starts, or you're setting up on Thursday and everybody's rolling in, it's kind of fun because you're getting to see everybody for the first time in a while. And everybody's catching up and hugging, all that stuff. And then on Sunday, when the festival's over and everybody's trying to pack up and get out and head home, it's sad because you know you're not going to see everybody again for a year. More than likely you're not. If you go to many festivals or work at many festivals, sometimes you see them at other festivals and you get to catch up. That's always pretty cool. That's happened to me a couple times. wish that green was working, but this is looking like it might turn out all right, huh? There's been so much stuff go on out there at that festival. Like, I could write a book about that festival. Because you're in the woods, and there's not a lot of what you'd call amenities, I guess. I mean, there are really nice porta potties. I'm not a porta potty fan. I'm totally cool with the porta potties out there. They keep them clean, but where I'm at the very, what we call the top of the hill, and I don't have an electric or water access up there. So coming up with things to do can be interesting. Used to, it was a lot easier because where I'm at is at the top of an old amphitheater in the woods. That's where my booth or tent, whatever you're gonna call it, is always set up. And used to, there was a building at the top of the amphitheater that had the bathrooms, the concession stand, that kind of thing. But it was torn down a few years ago, and now I'm just up there in the only spot in the whole festival that doesn't have shade. There's something happened one time when I was still setting up inside the building when it was there. It wasn't like a building, it was more like a picnic shelter with solid walls on one side. And it had a concrete floor. And I always set up the kids' area kind of close to the restrooms, on the way to the restrooms, because a lot of parents on their way to go to the restroom would just drop their kids off with me at my table and come back and get them. And one year, it was early in the morning. It was fairly slow at this point. I think it was on a Sunday. Sunday mornings were always slow until church lets out. And this woman comes walking by. There was not a soul up there but me. This woman comes walking by, and I just assumed she was going to the restroom. She gets, and if I laugh, I'm sorry, because I will laugh. I'll tell you why I laugh. This woman gets right square in front of my table and stops, still looking straight ahead, and falls flat back. Just don't, just, I mean, she went down, fell backwards, bounced. Her head like bounced up off the concrete, and boom, then she thudded and landed there. And this has happened like 3 feet, 4 feet in front of my face. And I thought, oh my God, she has killed herself. What? Oh Lord. So I hop over the table and get over to her, and she's just looking straight up. Her eyes are open. And I'm just like, ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay? And she would just look right at me and go, and just laugh like that weird, deep, strange laugh. I'm like, is she for real? I was like, ma'am, I'm hollering at her. Are you okay? And she just, and I thought, Lord, she has for real knocked her brains out. Like, she has no sense at all about her right now. She has clean knocked her brains clean out of her head. So I'm smacking her like on the cheek. Like, man, not hard, but I'm like, ma'am, can you hear me? How many fingers am I holding up? And just laugh. So I'm like, don't move. Of course she wasn't going to. She knocked her brains out. So I go running down through the festival, down to where the first aid and stuff is, and tell them, like, this woman has absolutely cocked, knocked her brains out up here in the theater. And I take off running back, and I beat them back because I was flying. I was worried to death because she had knocked her brains out. So I'm like straddling her again, like massaging her cheeks, thinking something would jar her and she'd talk or something. And she's still just giving that same old. So the rescue people come around the corner about the time this other woman does. And this woman, just at the top of her lungs, felt like, goes, oh my God, she's done it again. So at this point, I'm like, who is this woman? And like, this just took a turn. I said, do you know her? Because she has clearly knocked her brains out, like out of her head. She said, she does this all the time. It's embarrassing. Oh, and she's deaf, so she can't hear you. She can't hear you. So I have been straddled on this poor woman, smacking her in the face. Ma'am, can you hear me? How many fingers am I holding up? And she couldn't hear it thunder. I'm sure the whole reason she was laughing, because she's thinking, who is this country idiot up here beating on me? That's why I laughed, because I could only imagine what was going through her head. If anything was, I mean, it knocked her brains out. And the weird thing was, like, the first aid people checked her out and stuff. They just got up and left, like nothing happened. I sure give her a face a workout. I know. Okay, this is all I'm going to do on this one. Now all you need to do, and you want to be very gentle, you need a stick. It doesn't matter how big. And you're going to stick it first, before we go there, let's pop these bubbles very gently. A lot of times these little tiny ones don't matter, but I like getting rid of them. Get you. All right, take your stick just barely into the water, not to the bottom, and you're going to swirl. It does not matter how you swirl, what direction you go. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of controlling what this is going to do. Now that we've done that, you can swirl as much as you want, but you want to be careful because you don't want it to muddy up and all turn brown. So what I'm using tonight is I've just got regular, I about said typing paper. That shows you how old I am. Regular printing paper for your computer. And one side has been brushed with alum. Now, all you country people know alum is used for making pickles. It's used for other stuff too. But what you do is you mix your alum into water until it's what's called super saturated. And that means it can't hold any more alum. So really, add a little bit, stir it. Add a little bit, stir it. Keep doing that until you start seeing stuff on the bottom that's not quite getting mixed in and you know it's full. Anyway, I brush this on the paper, let it dry. Let me stand up to do this. And you're just gonna lay one end in. Try to make sure you see air bubbles or anything, mash them down. Smooth it out pretty good. Then I always drag it over one end to get the extra gunk off. There it is. That one took pretty good. So I'm gonna lay it in the floor over here till I get done, and you just rinse them off in cold water. That paint is not coming off of there. Trust me. You can also do this with fabric. You want to treat the fabric with alum too. But if you do fabric, you want to iron it on like a low or medium heat, and that helps the color set in. Now to get the excess paint off the top, I'm just going to take a paper towel, kind of drag it across the top here. That helps get some of it cleaned up. You don't want your water ever to be like perfectly clear, because to me, the messier the water gets, the neater things turn out. I'm trying to get that purple a little better. That's a lot of purple. I'm gonna hold up for a minute and I'm gonna try to mix up some more green. Because I've got to have green think what I'm going to do is take some that's mixed up and add water to it. I really want some green. See if this does any better. If not, I'm gonna holler. Well, crud. It still don't want to play right, does it? For this one, we're gonna be kind of messy anyway, so let's just see if anything might show up. Now, another way to do this, instead of having your medicine droppers, you can use kind of a brush. This is what I use. I have a bunch of these that I've made, and these are bristles from a plastic spoon cut and banded at the end. And what you do with this is you want to dip the bristles down in the paint. Just give it a little flicker. Let it go everywhere. There. Yeah. This is going to be blue. Rinse it off. What do we want? Blue and red. Might have to mix up some more red paint. Now for whatever your second color is going to be, you do the exact same thing. Just dip it in the paint. Give it some flicks. Now this brush is older than dirt and has been used for years. And that's why all these things are wanting to stick together. It's untelling how many kids, well, and grown-ups, have touched these brushes and eyedroppers and things over the years. Should we give it more red? I think I'm going to. There. Now, the only other color I've got mixed up right now is purple. So I guess that'll be what we use next. And this time we're not going to do as much paint. You can do as much as you want and have a field day with it. That's one of the cool things about this, is just playing with it and experimenting and seeing. Now you're going to do the same thing. Just take a stick and do some swirling. And there's no right or wrong way. The only thing I tell the kids when they do it is, when you see a big blob like that, run your stick through it and kind of give it some help. These are all going one way, so I'm going to go. There. All right. My voice keeps cracking and wanting to go out because my allergies are killing me. Same thing, paper treated with alum. Put it in, make sure it's all getting in there. Watch for your air bubbles and corners. Corners like to roll up. It really don't matter how long you let it sit there. It happens pretty much just like that. And scrape some of that off. And there's that one. I think I like that one better than the other one. Didn't really have any more luck with that green, but I found a darker green we're going to try. And I made some black. We'll see how the black turns out. Black always seems to be a color that we have problems with turning out. One thing I've not mentioned that is a big challenge in doing this outside where we normally do it is the humidity can really mess with whether or not your paint floats and how much it spreads and stuff. So we're always having to add water and make adjustments and we haul water from a pretty good distance, so it's not the easiest thing. Now I thought we'd put the light blue in the black. Sometimes when I see one of the cells start getting small, I give it a little something to fight back with. Now let's try this green. It didn't spread a lot, but I think it spread enough. Well. Of course, I turned the camera on. It ain't gonna work now. It's working a little. Maybe. Oh, well, I'm gonna try it. I don't know why the greens want to be so. And it's two different bottles of green acting weird. I'm gonna put the blue dot right. Did I use blue? No, black. No, green's dead on arrival. Well, should we use purple or red? I'm thinking red. Green, let's get you over here out of my face. I'm tired of you not. Now this one I am really going to put down a lot. Well, come on. Oh, I got the dipper that don't work. There we go. Now, if you want to know where this comes from or how it was invented or what's the point, there are a lot of videos on YouTube, and this is actually called Ebru, E-B-R-U, and it is a Turkish method of marbling. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there are some videos on YouTube, if you just look up Ebru, that will blow your mind. People doing this that I'm sure have much fancier equipment and things than I do, but they can actually drop this paint in and then pull it with sticks and make flowers, sunsets, like crazy actual pictures and things. I've tried to make a flower. It just kind of looked like a turtle got run over. And how I learned about this myself was we have a big show, I think it's always in Lexington every year, called Kentucky Crafted, which is not a convention, it kind of is, but people who are like home artists or home craftsmen can come set up at the convention center. and like craft store owners or gallery owners or whatever can come in and make wholesale buys from them and stuff. And we went one year looking for ideas for the kids craft, and they had a kids craft area, and this is what they were doing. The only other place I've ever seen anybody doing it is in the fall at Dollywood when they have the harvest celebration and all the outside artists come in and have the little booths along the side. I saw a guy doing it there, and he was doing wrapping paper, and I wonder if he's the guy we get our supplies from, which is something else I was going to tell you about. Like I said, carrageenan is not cheap. It's not, horribly expensive. We sure wouldn't be buying it, but it's not cheap, and it's especially not cheap if you buy it out at Walmart or Kroger, Publix, or somewhere like that, if you can even find it. The Walmart here where I live has never had it. We get all of our marbling supplies from a man in Oklahoma who does this, and he sells all the supplies. And his website is marbleart.us. And they have always been really good to us when we order and re-up our supplies. He has all this stuff, and his prices are by far better than trying to find some of this stuff locally, especially the carrageenan. I think we paid $25 for like a 2-pound bag or 5-pound bag or something. And the only time I've ever seen it in a store, it was in a container about that size, and it was 20-something bucks. So it's kind of good. But the cornstarch thing I tried, it worked a little bit. I need to mess with it some more because it was something I've done with the cornstarch. Or add some more. I'm killed. This green ain't working. And it seems like every year at the festival that we've done this, we've done lots of different projects in the kids area. This one has been a repeat for 4 or 5 years now because the kids really dig this. And really, the grown-ups do too. Because they're always coming up, how old do you have to be? I'm not turning you away. Sit down here. I'll keep going. I'm still missing that green. Now, I told you I just used regular printer paper for this with the alum on it. I've done this with watercolor paper. That way, if anybody that knows watercolor is watching this, you can use watercolor paper, but I would still treat it with alum before you use it because the color took to the watercolor paper, but it wasn't real deep or vibrant. So I would probably still go with the alum. And like I said, you can do this on fabric. You can do this on just about anything. Anything that's porous and will hang on to that alum long enough, to pull the paint, the marbling off the water. But some things you can't, and I know a quick and dirty way to marble things that you can't marble this way that I'll do another video on. That's so easy, it's almost stupid. I think this is going to be the last drops because I'm sure this video is getting long. You know what, let's just go crazy and give it some purple. One purple just because. All right. We'll go it. Let's just see what I can come up with. When they do the flowers, they take like this and kind of pull in. See how it's kind of making petal shapes? You've got to really be able to control what's going on though, to get it to stay like a flower. That one's not bad. This one could be a heart. Now a heart, you pull down and then you pull down like that. This swirls more. Get rid of these poor ugly flowers. One day I'll learn how to do it. I'm gonna try to leave the heart. All right, let's get our paper for our last one. Try to get the corners. Scrape it off a little. Where's our heart? There's our heart. That came out pretty good. Now when I rinse this off, a lot of this black that you're seeing here is gonna come off. I wonder if there's some way I can do it right here without making a mess. Let's see. You see how clean it rinses off. I've always been, excuse me, I've always been told to use cold water. I don't know if it matters. See, it just rinses right off, but the paint stays. That's the cool thing about it. There's the heart. And that's it. That's marbling. I'm gonna get these cleaned up and let them dry, and then I'll show you what they look like once they're all ready. And I'll show you some more that I've saved over the years that people have made at the craft fair and left or forgot to take home with them. There's been some really cool ones.